الذنوب إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. لله شكرا وعفوا، لله شكرا وعفوا، لله شكرا وعفوا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أزور سيدي ومولاي ومعتمدي ورجائي، ذخري وذخيرتي في آخرتي ودنياي، سيدي ومولاي الإمام الحسين صلوات الله عليه، زيارة مني ونيابة عن سيدي ومولاي صاحب العصر والزمان، ونيابة عن جميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات، خصوصا من قلدنا الدعاء والزيارة. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور، السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله، لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت عظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات، فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها، ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشياعهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله إني سلم لمن سالمكم، وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان، ولعن الله بني أمية قاطبة، ولعن الله ابن مرجانة، ولعن الله عمر بن سعد، ولعن الله شمرا، ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتنقبت لقتالك. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد عظم مصابي بك، فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب ثأرك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قاتلك ونصب لك الحرب، وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس الظلم والجور عليكم. وأبرأ إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانه وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشياعكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم، وأتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم والبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب، وبالبراءة من أشياعهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم، وحرب لمن حاربكم، وولي لمن والاكم، وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة، وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله، وأن يرزقني طلب ثأركم مع إمام هدى مهدي ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وبالشأن الذي وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في السماوات والأرض، ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد، ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكبار، اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله، في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني، وابدأ به أولا ثم العن الثاني والثالث والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسا والعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمرا وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. سجود. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم، الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود، وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. صلوات صلى على محمد وآله. زيارة العباس. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا ابن سيد الوصيين. السلام عليك يا ابن أول القوم إسلاما وأقدمهم إيمانا وأقومهم بدين الله وأحوطهم على الإسلام. أشهد لقد نصحت لله ولرسوله ولأخيك، فنعم الأخ المواسي. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة استحلت منك المحارم وانتهكت حرمة الإسلام. فنعم الصابر المجاهد المحامي الناصر، والأخ الدافع عن أخيه، المجيب إلى طاعة ربه، الراغب فيما زيد فيه غيره من الثواب الجزيل والثناء الجميل. وألحقك الله بدرجة آبائك في جنات النعيم. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس، وعلى أبيك أمير المؤمنين، وعلى أمك أم البنين، وعلى أختك الحوراء زينب، وعلى الأكبر والقاسم، وعلى جميع شهداء كربلاء، ورحمة الله وبركاته. وصل اللهم على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين. ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات، بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون. ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Just a quick announcement, won't take too long, maybe up to 5 minutes time before the speech. So, inshallah, I'm very happy as well that Brisbane, inshallah, will be having an opportunity next year that we have homeschooling kids who will be accessing a tuition center as well. Well, we have all the academic subjects and also the Quran and Nahj al-Balagha as well. We have Sheikh Muhammad Dahnavi, who has leading, helping homeschooling and a tuition center in Sydney for the last few years. There's over 400 children there in this program as well. So it's a very beautiful program. He had a presentation here a few weeks ago, 3-hour session. We loved the program. He's going to come back again in 3 weeks' time. So anyone who would love to give their children a bit of more Islamic environment, Islamic education, like 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. It's not like a proper school, it's like a different as well, but he will get all the subjects covered in the schooling, homeschooling, plus Quran and Nahjul Balagha as well. If you need more information, I have limited time in here, please contact Brother Basir, or Brother Mustafa in the male side. You can contact me as well. And from the ladies' side, contact Sister Sana or Sister Latifa. They will give you more information there as well. So anyone who is interested, let us know so we can involve you. When Sheikh Dahnavi Muhammadani from Sydney comes, we can let you involve and be in the presentation there for 3-hour session, so he can explain more about what this system is all about, where your children get very good quality education. That's what we're hoping for. And also the Quran and Nahjul Balagha 5 days a week as well. So that'll be ideal. Thank you very much. So if you need more information, we will be happy to guide you. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
إلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المظلومين المعصومين، واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم من الأولين والآخرين. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. قال الإمام أبو الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا صلوات الله عليه: سمعت أبي موسى بن جعفر يقول: سمعت أبي جعفر بن محمد يقول: سمعت أبي محمد بن علي يقول: سمعت أبي علي بن الحسين يقول: سمعت أبي الحسين بن علي يقول: سمعت أبي أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب يقول: سمعت أخي رسول الله يقول: سمعت جبرائيل يقول: سمعت الله جل جلاله يقول: لا إله إلا الله حصني، فمن دخل حصني أمن من عذابي. فلما مرت الراحلة نادى الإمام الرضا بشروطها وأنا من شروطها. Imam Redha, salam Allah alayh, narrates I heard my father Musa ibn Ja'far say, I heard my father Ja'far ibn Muhammad say, I heard my father Muhammad ibn Ali say, I heard my father Ali ibn al-Hussein say, I heard my father Al-Hussein ibn Ali say, I heard my father Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam say, I heard my brother Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi say, I heard Jibreel say, I heard Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, the word La ilaha illallah is my fortress, and whoever enters my fortress is safe. Then the Imam said, with its conditions, and I am one of the conditions. When examining the life of our A'imma, our leaders, our masters, our mentors in life, it is critical that we examine their life in the context of the historical era that they lived in. When we come to understand the conditions that they lived in, the period of time that they lived in, it will help us better understand the decisions they made and why they made these decisions. And therefore we will gain more insight and more understanding. Even though when I say this, by belief, we as Ithna Ashariya, we as 12ers, we believe that the Imam must be followed and abided by his rule and his opinion, regardless if we were to understand his logic or not. Right? So even if we don't understand, for example, why an Imam chose to do this in this particular time, whilst another Imam chose to do something in another period of time, we as Ithna Ashariya, we believe that these 12 are ma'soomeen, divinely appointed, and therefore we must be obedient and we must submit to their opinion and to their rule at all times, regardless if we understand or not. That's why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, he says, Al-Hasan wal-Husayn, imaman in qama wa in qa'ada. Hasan and Hussein are appointed, divinely appointed leaders, regardless if they were to rise or to sit. And therefore, Hasan salamullahi alayhi is an Imam, even though he decided to make a peace treaty with Muawiyah, while Imam Hussein alayhi salam is also an Imam, even though he decided to rise against Yazid. Of course, if we go back to history and we study the time, the context, the political situation, the environment, the surrounding situations, we will understand why Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam decided to go into this peace treaty, and why Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam decided to rise against the oppressor of his time. Therefore, today and tonight, inshallah, as we use the opportunity to commemorate the martyrdom of our 8th Imam, our Mawla, Abu al-Hasan Ali ibn Musa Redha, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, Allahumma salli ala. Because as you know, there are 3 narrations for his martyrdom. In the books of Shia, there are 3 opinions. One is that he was martyred on the 17th of Safar, similar like these days. And another narration says on the last day of Safar, which means that either on the 29th or the 30th of Safar, on the last day of Safar. And there's also a narration that says on the 23rd of Dhul Qa'dah. Regardless of those 3 narrations, the more we learn about these great personalities and the more opportunities we get, it's for our own benefit. It's for our own gain. When we come to studying the history and the era of Maulana Abul Hasan al-Redha salamullahi alayh, we find that his time and his era was a very interesting one, and you will see how it is very relevant to our era and our time. And therefore we can gain a lot of lessons from his actions and from the way he dealt with the situation that he was living in. The first thing that happened during this time of the Imam salamullahi alayh is there was a lot of migration inwards, as in into the Islamic world, and outwards. So there was Muslims that were migrating from the Islamic empire to the non-Muslim grounds and to the non-Muslim civilizations. Like us, for example, we as Muslims, we have now migrated from Muslim home countries to non-Muslim home countries, and vice versa. There was a lot of migration inwards. People were migrating because the Islamic empire at that time was flourishing and it was a good state to live in. People were migrating from outside of the Islamic empire into the Islamic empire. And you know that when migrations occur, it's not a matter of somebody carrying his family and his baggage and going from one city into another. When migrations happen, people are carrying everything with them. They are carrying their beliefs, they are carrying their cultural practices, and they are carrying their thoughts and ideologies with them. And therefore, this time became a time of mixing and interactions between the Muslim world and the non-Muslim world. Unlike the previous times, you see, in the times of our third and fourth and fifth Imam, even up to the sixth Imam, the interactions was within the Muslims. Within the Muslims there was factions and there was schools of thought. But now in the time of Imam Redha alayhi salam, it became interactions with non-Muslims, and I will show you some examples inshallah. The second that happened that was very unique in the time of Imam Redha alayhi salam is there was what's called Harakatut Tarjama, a translation movement led by the government itself. Al-Ma'mun al-Abbasi, he was supporting the translation of any book that you may have from non-Arabic languages into Arabic and bringing it into the Arabian Peninsula. So there was a translation of books of medicine, books of physics, books of science, books of philosophy, books of Hindu philosophy, Greek philosophy, atheism. All of these books were brought, translated, and he used to actually sponsor them and pay them so that there was established homes of translation. Then they would translate these books and bring them into the Muslim world, which meant that Muslims were now having access to these books and to these new ideologies and these new beliefs, and they were understanding them and reading them in their own language. The third thing that was unique about this time is we had a Khalifa, so-called Khalifa. You know, these people, they called themselves Khalifas. We say they were kings, rulers, whatever you want to say, who was someone who liked knowledge, who was keen on meeting scholars, understanding scholars, speaking to scholars, and using his public forum as a way of debating and discussing. Because if we have a look at the Khalifas before that, the rulers before that, the kings of Banu al-Abbas, and even the kings of Banu Umayyah before that, there was only one thing known about their majalis. The majalis of Harun and Abu Ja'far al-Mansur. And those examples were what? The Khalifa would sit, he would be drinking alcohol, and he would have poets, singers, and dancers. That's known. Even if you go back to Arabic literature, they will show you this is the poetry that used to be recited in the courtyard of Harun. This is the poetry. Even those who study in normal schools, in Arabic schools, we used to learn them as kids at school. When you look at this poetry, what kind of poetry did Harun used to listen to? Poetry about love, romance, love stories, music and dance. That's the only thing that was known to be in the courtyard of these so-called khulafa, which were oppressors and rulers that ruled the Muslim world. Ma'mun al-Abbasi was different to the previous khulafa. He used his courtyard as somebody who was titled as educated or lover of knowledge. Of course, we believe as Shia that this was all for a hidden motive, but regardless, it opened the situation that he would get the best of scholars, the elite, the experts, and he would have them in his courtyard, and they would be a forum for discussion and talking and explanation. And therefore, when you put all of these together, the translation movement, the open forum in the courtyard of the Khalifa, and the migration inwards and outwards, you see that there was a lot of mixing of beliefs, ideologies, and thoughts in the time of Imam Redha alayhi salam, which is really no different to today. You see, we came from our homelands into this environment. This environment, they have a different culture, different language, different beliefs, and different moral values. And now we are learning how to navigate our way through these. Our kids, they are on the internet. And on the internet, it's an open platform. Any resource you can think of, you can find it. In any language you want. Any book, any opinion, any ideology, you can, with a click of a button, with a press of a button, you can get this book or get this thoughts. And more than that, we have now social media. On social media, we now have an open platform where if I have an opinion and I have an ideology, I have a point to express, I can use this social media to express myself in whichever way I want, which was very similar to what was happening in the time of Imam Redha alayhi salam, which was there was now open debates, open forums. So the Imam salamullahi alayhi, his mission became how to protect the Shia of his time from deviations of this mixing that was happening. He, as called by some of our scholars, they say he was the establisher of the Ja'fari school. The founder of the Ja'fari school was Imam al-Baqir and Imam al-Sadiq salamullahi alayhima. They founded the school. However, this school could have been washed away. Why? Because we know that even our Sunni brothers, they say that there used to be schools of thought that were washed away, and the only thing that remained is these ones that we hear of that remain to now. So this Ja'fari school that was established in Medina, it could have been washed away with these movements and with these ideologies. However, Imam Redha alayhi salam, he came to establish this school and make sure that these principles are not going to move or change in any way or form. The first thing that he did is that he provided the Shia community and his students and his followers with a boost of immunity called knowledge. This is, you see, if somebody is going somewhere, they say, if you move into the city, there is a very bad virus. The only way that you will survive this virus is if you get immunized. Take this injection, take this dose, you will have the immunity to protect yourself that you won't get sick. Imam Redha alayhi salam, he protected his Shia, he protected his followers, he protected the school of Ahlul Bayt by immunizing them with knowledge, that they became so profound, so knowledgeable, so aware in their beliefs that it didn't matter who they discussed, who they debated, who they were meeting. They were strong in their faith. They were powerful in their ideology, that nothing shook them. He encouraged all of them to become scholars. Not that we have a community of 5,000 people, only one person knows what they're talking about. No. He said to them, this is the words of the Imam Redha alayhi salam to the Shia of his time, which really applies to us. He says to them, طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ فَرِيضَةٌ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ وَمُسْلِمَةٍ. Seeking knowledge is wajib. It's not optional. It is wajib. Why? Because if you don't have knowledge, you're going to get washed away with everyone else. فَطْلُبُ الْعِلْمَ مِنْ مَظَانِّهِ وَاقْتَبَسُوهُ مِنْ أَهْلِهِ. Therefore, you may need to make sure that you seek knowledge not from anywhere, not from Dr. Google. No. Make sure that you gain knowledge from the right pathway, from the right scholars, from the right clear and clean sources. فَإِنَّ تَعْلِيمَهُ لِلَّهِ حَسَنًا وطلبه عبادة والمذاكرة فيه تسبيح والعمل به جهاد وتعليمه من لا يعلمه صدقة وبذله لأهله قربة إلى الله تعالى. So he says, now he encourages people. He said to them that it's wajib. Now look at how he encourages to learn and to teach. He says, for learning, teaching it is a virtue, and learning it is worship, and memorizing it is remembrance of Allah, and teaching it to those who don't know is charity, and delivering it is nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, he made sure that all of his followers, all of his Shia were scholars. You know, this person that some of you may have gone to Mashhad and have visited him, and you hear his name a lot, they call him Abu Salt al-Harawi. Abu Salt al-Harawi, you know that Abu Salt al-Harawi is a great narrator and a scholar and one of the fuqaha of the Shia. You know that Abu Salt was just a servant? He was not someone of a great status. He could have, for all we know, been a abd that the Imam bought. He was a servant who worked in the house of the Imam Redha alayhi salam. But Abu Salt al-Harawi, when you look at his history in Ilm al-Rijal, he was a faqih. He was a scholar. This is the servant of the Imam, is now a scholar in Islam. He narrates this hadith that we tend sometimes narrate, but we stop halfway. And his name is Abdus Salam ibn Salih. Abu Salt, his name is Abdus Salam ibn Salih. عن عبد السلام بن صالح الهروي قال سمعت أبا الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا عليه السلام يقول أحيوا أمرنا رحم الله من أحيا أمرنا. Revive our remembrance. May God have mercy on those who revive our remembrance. We all know this part. Up to here, we've all memorized the hadith. But the narrator, Abu Salt, he goes back to ask the Imam, how do we do that? How do we revive your remembrance? Do we just put your names up on the wall like this? Is this reviving your remembrance? فقال يا ابن رسول الله وكيف يحيى أمركم قال أن يتعلموا علومنا ويعلمها الناس فإن الناس لو علموا محاسن كلامنا لاتبعونا. If the way you revive our remembrance is that you learn our knowledge, you learn our science, you learn our words, and you teach it to others. So it's not enough that I learn from Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. No, I have to learn and teach it to others. For surely, the Imam says, for surely if the people know the beauty of our words, they will follow us. No one will come across the signs of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, the words, the wisdom, the beautiful lifestyle, and say, I don't want to follow these people. How many people do we hear became Shia in Hajj, for example, because they heard somebody reciting the dua of Arafah of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam? They said, what's this? They said, this is the dua of Imam al-Hussein. They said, we didn't know that Hussein had words like this. Or people heard on the Laylatul Jum'ah dua Kumail. They said, what's this beautiful dua? Who are these words of? These are the words of Ali ibn Abi Talib, salamullahi alayhi. And so forth. For Imam says that the revival of our remembrance is that you learn our knowledge and you teach it to others. For surely if people know the beauty of our words, they will follow us. Therefore, this was the Imam's methodology of protecting the Shia and establishing their foundation is through knowledge. Making sure he encouraged them to become knowledgeable and to teach it to others. And I want to say for our community here, we are coming in the next couple of weeks to the end of the month of Safar. Alhamdulillah, the month of Muharram and the month of Safar, we have been washed with the blessings of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. That we have these majalis, we are having these gatherings. If only God knows how great these majalis are in terms of the reward and the blessings that we are having in our lives. But I want to say that just because Arba'een is finished, just because Safar is finished, it doesn't mean that now we go on holidays. Goodbye Islamic Center, goodbye 12 Imams, I see you inshallah next Muharram. Or if I'm lucky, maybe I see you in Ramadan. We can't, like the school of Imam Hussein alayhi salam doesn't end here. It doesn't end in Muharram. It doesn't end in Arba'een. The school of Imam Hussein alayhi salam continues all year because he is such a generous person. He has so much to give. Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam have so much to give to humanity. We are being unfair to them if we limit them just to 2 months a year. Just to 40 days. It's not enough. We have to use this opportunity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with a center. He blessed us with a place. He blessed us with the freedom to sit down and teach and learn. We all, I'm sure all of you coming here, in one day, one age, we used to live in countries where we used to not be able to say قال علي ibn Abi Talib. Yeah? We used to not be able to freely have majalis. We used to not be able to even share a book. The book of Mafatih al-Jinan in Karbala was forbidden. Right? We all lived this. It's not too long ago. We're talking about 30 years ago. 20 years ago. Now we have the freedom. We have the liberty. And unfortunately, after Safar is finished, our centers become empty. We have to make sure that we protect ourselves, immune ourselves with the knowledge of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And this is the responsibility of everyone. For example, this brother here, he has a good Quran foundation, good knowledge foundation. He is good with tafsir of Quran. He has, for example, studied or has studied a book on tafsir according to the opinions of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam of the Holy Quran. You can start a tafsir of Quran in the center. You don't have to be, someone who is of, mujtahid opinion. No. You are good at, for example, fiqh. You have good fiqh foundation. Every week you bring people together. Let's do the ahkam of wudu. Let's do the ahkam of salah. Let's do ahkam of tahara, najasa, fasting, hajj, zakat, khums. It's easy. For example, somebody else, he is good in the field of theology, usul ad-din, tawheed, adala, sifatullah, the characteristics of Allah, nubuwa, ma'ad, what proofs we have for judgment day, what proofs that we have for life after death, what proofs we have that there are 12 imams, what proofs that we have these imams are ma'soomeen. You can sit down and teach this to the Shia, teach this to your brothers and sisters, and so forth. So this is a responsibility on each and every one of us, is that when Safar is finished and the majalis are finished, that we don't let our centers become empty. We make sure that we follow, because we are living in the very similar era to the era of Imam Redha alayhi salam. Our ideologies and our beliefs are being washed and are being attacked left, right, and center. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The second thing that Imam Redha alayhi salam did to protect the Shia of his time is he encouraged open questions. He said that learning is not a matter of you sitting down and just receiving, just learning from someone. He encouraged the Shia and his followers to always have the strength and the ability to ask whatever question comes to their mind. He used to say that al-ilmu khaza'in, this is his words. Al-ilmu khaza'in wa miftahuhu as-su'al. Knowledge is like a treasure chest, and the su'al, questions, is the key to this treasure chest. فَاسْأَلُوا يَرْحَمْكُمُ اللَّهِ. Ask whatever you wish, may Allah give you mercy and blessings. فَإِنَّهُ يُؤْجَرُ فِيهِ أَرْبَعَةً السَّائِلُ وَالْمُجِيبُ وَالْمُسْتَمِعُ وَالْمُحِبُّ. When there is question and answer, Imam Redha alayhi salam says 4 people are being rewarded and benefiting. The one who asks the question gets reward and benefit. The one who answers the question is getting benefit and the reward. Anyone listening to the question and answer is also getting reward, and anybody who likes and encourages this is also getting reward. This is Imam Redha alayhi salam. He made his house the hub of questions and answers. Sulaiman al-Ja'fari says, I entered the house of Ali ibn Musa and it was full of people asking, and he sat to answer his questions in his house. Because you know that even current knowledge, they say that didactic learning, you just sitting down and listening to someone talking, sometimes the information does not stick and it does not get absorbed properly, versus if you were to have question and answer back and forth. You ask what's in your mind, what's going through your mind, and I answer, and then I say what's in my mind and you answer. And our scholars in the Hawza, they recognized this long ago. You see the Hawza, al-Sharifa, in Najaf, in Qom, in Sham, anywhere you go, always uses this methodology when it comes to learning. It's never that the sheikh is sitting down and teaching and the people are just writing down. That's it. No. After every lesson, there is what's called mubahatha between pairs of students. The students sit down. Those who've been to Najaf or Qom, you know that when you go into some of the masajid, you see all of them are sitting around in circles. All of them have their books out and they are discussing, they are debating. This is called mubahatha. The teachers of these subjects make it a condition that after every lesson you must go back with your partner student, and do mubahatha. What's mubahatha? I teach you the content of what we learned today, and then tomorrow it's your turn to teach me the content. I have to challenge you in what you are teaching me, and when I am teaching, you challenge me in what I am teaching, so that it's not just a given, it's back and forth questions and answers. And you know, this is really important even for our young ones, for our kids, because if you have a doubt in your mind, if you have a question in your mind, and this question is not answered, what happens over time? This doubt and this question grows. It grows and grows and grows bigger, that it gets to the stage where you have no way of being able to solve it. So Ahlul Bayt alayhum salam, they said that when you have a question, just ask. Don't keep it inside and say, oh, maybe it's a stupid question. Maybe it's a question that people will think that I am not a good Muslim. Maybe it's a question that people will doubt my wilayah. No. If you have a question, ask. Ahlul Bayt encourage us to ask, and they say that you are rewarded, especially our kids. Our kids, their questions are always very good, and they are always very smart. So never tell your child who comes to you with questions, Baba, Mama, why Allah did this? Why Imam said this? Why we do this? Try to spend some time with them and answer their questions, because believe me, Imam Redha alayhi salam says answering these Greek questions is rewarding, and it will strengthen their foundation and their iman. One of my teachers, Hafidhahumullah, he established a website just for questions and answers. It's called askthesheikh.com. Just one word, askthesheikh.com in English. And if you go to askthesheikh.com, you find that it's questions and answers in any way that you like. In theology, in history, in fiqh, in contemporary matters. And he, with a group of scholars, mainly based in Qom, they sit down and they answer these questions in the sense of people living in the West, with the lens of people living in the West. So this is a good way that you can strengthen your foundation of belief. I want to say once again, for our centers here, we need to start adding this to our programs. MashaAllah, we have been getting the opportunity to invite some amazing scholars, some wonderful speakers, and we let them give their lecture. Then they come down and we say to them, Jazakumullah khair, let's drive you to the airport, goodbye, goodbye. And they're gone. This is the golden opportunity. How many people that are sitting in the crowd have questions in their mind about what he is saying, about what she is saying, about day-to-day things that's happening in their life? We should dedicate question and answer time as much as we dedicate time to the lecture. Because if these young ones have questions in their minds, they will never have the ability to have them answered. Where are they going to get them answered if they don't come to this forum and get the right answer? Because unfortunately, we know that with Google gives you the answer based on the biggest number of hits. And we know that we as Shia, we are a minority. So if I was to put into Google, for example, what is the time of Salatul Subh? Or how do I calculate the time of Salatul Maghrib? It's going to give me according to whose opinion? Google. Whose opinion is going to give me? How do you calculate Maghrib? According to the majority Islamic opinion, which is the Sunni opinion. Google is not going to know that I am Shia, I am looking for the Ithna Ashari opinion for this issue. It's going to give me a majority opinion. And therefore, we need to make our centers, we need to make our environments the opportunity for people to ask and answer. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The third way that the Imam Redha alayhi salam established the belief system of the Shia is through open dialogue and debates in the courtyard of Al-Ma'mun al-Abbasi. You see, Al-Ma'mun, he said that Ali ibn Musa must come to Khurasan. You know that very well. And he came to Khurasan and he said that now I will bring the elite Christian priests, Jewish rabbis, Sabian rabbis, philosophers, atheists, agnostics, whatever you can think of. He will bring them and we will talk to Ali ibn Musa and see who has the answer. You see, Al-Ma'mun, he thought that Imam Redha alayhi salam only knows how to answer the questions if it comes from a Muslim scholar. Why? Because he used to think that Imam only has the knowledge of Islam based on what the Quran says and what his grandfather sallallahu alayhi wa said. But Imam Redha alayhi salam said to his Shia, he said, do you know when Ma'mun is going to regret what he's doing? When I answer the Christians in their Bible, from their Bible, and I answer the Jewish from their Torah, and I answer the philosophers with their philosophy. That's when Ma'mun will realize that he has no way out. These debates are also very good for us. Why? Because these people who debated the Imam, they challenged him in the biggest issues of Islam and the biggest issues of Tashayyu'. And therefore our scholars, they made sure that they wrote these down. Shaykh al-Saduq, rahmatullahi alayh, in the book of Uyun Akhbar al-Redha, he collated all of these in this book. He said, Munadharati Abil Hasan Ali ibn Musa. These are the debates that Imam al-Redha alayhi salam participated in. And he made sure that they are well documented. Why? Because these people, when they come to see the Imam and talk to him, they were arguing with him in the most sensitive issues, in the biggest topics that really are the fine line between is Islam haqq or not? Is Tashayyu' haqq or not? Shaykh al-Tabarasi rahmatullahi alayhi, in his book Al-Ihtijaj, he also did the same. He documented all the debates that occurred between Imam Redha alayhi salam and his opponents. And as I said, these topics were all very sensitive. For example, the topic of Tawheed. Because you know that we in the school of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, we have a very unique way of understanding Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tawheed is not what unfortunately some Muslims say, that God is one. It's like he is numerical one. No. Imam Ali alayhi salam says this one is not a number. And this Lord of yours is not something that can be measured against others. And so forth. Even in the hadith that we began the majlis with, what did he say? La ilaha illallah hisni, faman dakhala hisni amina min adhabi. Yes, we believe that if you believe in God and that he is one, you will be in the fortress of protection. However, he says, bishurutiha wa ana min shurutiha, which means what? That imamah of the 12 imams is one of the conditions of being a muwahhid. And all of these things, the ismah, Imam Redha alayhi salam, he was challenged that you say that the prophets are ma'soomeen. Why does the Quran then say, وَعَصَى آدَمَ رَبُّهُ فَغَوَى? Quran says Adam was a sinner. Then the Imam goes through into details. What happened between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Adam? What does he mean by don't come near this tree? Which tree it was? Imam Redha alayhi salam says, he didn't say you are not allowed. It's like the distinguish between makruh and haram. Yeah? He said, don't go near this tree. And Imam says he didn't eat from the tree that Allah pointed at. He ate from a tree of similar type, which was a wheatgrass tree. Shajaratul Hunta. Adam alayhi salam, when Iblis, he swore by the God's name, and this had never happened before, that somebody swears false in God's name, that you can eat from this tree and nothing will happen. Adam alayhi salam ate from a tree that was not the tree that Allah pointed to and said, don't eat from this one. He ate from a similar type of tree. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it was better for you not to eat from it. I told you it was better for you not to eat from it. And that's what called tarkul awla. It was better for Adam alayhi salam not to eat from the wheatgrass tree. So it's like you say to someone, you can have my house and stay in it for 2 weeks. Live in my house as you wish. But if possible, please use the bedrooms downstairs. Don't use the bedrooms upstairs. If I decide to go upstairs and use the bedroom upstairs, I am not breaking the rules of your house, but it was better for me to stay downstairs. It's kind of like that. And then Imam Redha alayhi salam says, and then it's only after that, ثُمَّ اجْتَبَاهُ رَبَّهُ فَتَابَ عَلَيْهِ فَهَدَى. This was before Adam was appointed to be a prophet. After that, when Adam alayhi salam was appointed to be a prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then made sure that Adam does not commit makruh or haram. We believe that after that, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ijtabah and He put him on this earth, then He forbid him from committing makruh or haram. So this is the high status that, we in the school of Ithna Ashari believe that the prophets are ma'soomeen from everything. Imam Redha alayhi salam was challenged in the Imam of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And inshallah, one year, maybe in Ghadir or something like that, we can talk about how Imam Redha alayhi salam, he used the event of Ghadir to extrapolate some profound meanings about imamah that we sometimes walk past and not notice. He established the characteristics of the imamah in the school of the 12ers, because you know that the imamiyah were beginning to divide. Some of them became Waqifa, some of them became Ismailiyah. Imam Redha alayhi salam, he said, no, these are all not Imamiyah. If you want to know Imamah, come to me, I will tell you what it takes to be a real Imam. And he used his son, Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, as a perfect example of what characteristics an Imam should be. Why? Because Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam was a young man. He was only 5 or 6 years old. And he used to sit him on his lap, and he used to say, ask Abu Ja'far anything you can think of, he will be able to answer. They said, how? He said, because he's an Imam. And Imam has the knowledge of everything. Ajib. Your 5-year-old boy has the answer? Imam Redha alayhi salam had an uncle. He was the son of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. His name was Ali ibn Ja'far. He was an old man. His beard was white, and he was on a walking stick, and very, well respected man. They said, this should be the Imam. Look at his beard, look at his turban, look at his, hayba. He should be an Imam. He said, Ali ibn Ja'far said, what will I do if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His wisdom decided to make this boy the Imam? The Imam is not my opinion, or this man looks more glorious than this man. This older man is more better than this. No. Imam is something chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once an Imam is chosen, he is given the divine knowledge. And once he is given the divine knowledge, that's it. He is ma'soom. And once he is ma'soom, he is the one worthy of being followed, no one else. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The last thing that the Imam Redha alayhi salam established in the belief system of the Ithna Ashariyya of the 12ers is the connection with the majalis of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. He made sure that there was a clear connection between the musibah of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam and the Shia, an emotional connection that their majalis revolve around the tragedy of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. He encouraged ziyarah. He encouraged holding majalis. He encouraged the poets to write poetry about Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam. And he said that anyone who gives poetry and makes people cry for Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, it is like Ruh al-Qudus has spoken on their behalf. He gave the poets a very high status. One of his companions come to him to see him in a state of mourning, in a state of crying, in a state of aza. He says to him, Ya Imam, why are you like this? You are a family of patience. You are a family of virtue. Why are you like this in the state of aza? He says, Inna amra al-Husayn ashara jufunana. We have lost sleep over the tragedy of Hussein. وَأَسْبَلَ دُمُوعَنَا وَأَذَلَّ عَزِيزَنَا بِأَرْضِ كَرْبٍ وَبَلَاءٍ. It has made our tears constantly flow. It has made our people constantly in sorrow. وَأَوْرَثَنَا الْكَرْبَ وَالْبَلَاءِ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْإِنْقِضَاءِ. Until the day of judgment, we will remain in the state of mourning for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. فعلى مثل الحسين فليبكي الباكون فإن البكاء عليه يحط الذنوب العظام. For Hussein, we should cry. Why? Because the moment you cry, your sins are becoming dissolved. Why? Because you are developing that strong connection with the principles of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, the principles of dignity, the principles of strength of Iman, the principles of Risala, the principles of Tawheed, the principles of Islamic values. Have an emotional connection with Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam so that you remain faithful. يَبْنَ شَبِيب إن كنت باكيا لشيء فبك الحسين ابن علي. يَبْنَ شَبِيب, if you were to cry for anything, cry for Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ibn Shabib says to him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, why should I cry for Hussein? He says, فَإِنَّهُ ذُبِحَ كَمَا يُذْبَحُ الْكَبْشِ. For Hussein was killed just like the animal was sacrificed and slaughtered. Ya Aba Abdullah. Brothers and sisters, these are the days of Arba'een. These are the days of the martyrdom of Mawlana al-Imam al-Redha alayhi salam. قم جدد الحزن في الأربعين ففيه ردت رؤوس الآل للحفر. The poet says, come and renew the sorrows of Hussein in Arba'een. Why? He says, for the head of Imam al-Hussein has been brought back to his grave. He says, Ibn Shabib, oh Da'bil comes to visit Imam al-Redha alayhi salam. He was a great poet. Imam al-Redha alayhi salam says, Da'bil, you are a great poet. Have you written anything recently for my grandfather Hussein alayhi salam? He says to him, oh Imam, only if you know, I have written such a painful qasida, such a painful words about your grandfather Hussein. He says to him, wait, Da'bil, don't recite. Imam al-Redha alayhi salam goes and brings a curtain. He puts it there. He says to the ladies, come to this side, sit and listen to Da'bil. What's he going to recite? Da'bil begins, listen how Da'bil begins to say to Ahl al-Bayt. He says, أَفَاطِمُ لَوْ خِلْتِ الْحُسَيْنِ مُجَدَّلًا. Oh Fatima, only if you were here to see how Hussein was lying on the ground. وَقَدْ مَاتَ عَطْشَانًا بِشَطِّ فُرَاتِ. He was thirsty next to the Furat. The Furat was next to him, but he was thirsty. إِذَنْ لَلَطَمْتِ الْخَدَّ فَاطِمُ عِنْدَهُ. Oh Fatima, you would have slapped your face if you saw him like this. وَأَجْرَيْتِ دَمَعَ الْعَيْنِ فِي الْوَجَنَاتِ. You would have wept and cried for your beautiful son Hussein. Then he begins to speak to her. He says to her, oh Fatima, you only have some sons, but they are everywhere, all over the earth. Their graves are dispersed. أفاطم قومي يا ابنة الخير واندبي نجوم سماوات بأرض فلاتي. Oh Fatima, get up, go around the earth and see where your sons have become. He says, oh Fatima, where are you going to go? Are you going to go to Medina, to see what happened to Hassan? Or are you going to Kufa to see what happened to Ali? Or are you going to go to Baghdad? This was the last Imam that was martyred during this time. He says, وَقَبْرٌ بِبَغْدَادٍ لِنَفْسٍ زَكِيَّةٍ يا موسى بن جعفر. وقبر ببغداد لنفس زكية تضمنها الرحمن في الغرفات. Oh, the grave of the one in Baghdad. Look at what Imam Redha alayhi salam says. He says, يا دعبل أفلا ألحق لك بهذا الموضوع بيتين بها تمام قصيدتك. Oh دعبل, do you want me to tell you the rest of the poem? Da'bal says, yes, oh Imam, I will be privileged. He says, وَقَبْرٌ بِطُوسٍ يَا لَهَا مِن مُصِيبَةٍ. There will be a grave in Tus. Oh, what a tragedy. توقد في الأحشاء بالحرقات إلى الحشر حتى يبعث الله قائما يفرج عنا الهم والكربات. There will be a grave in Tus. This will become a sore point in the heart of the believers until the day the 12th Imam comes back. Then Imam Da'bal is looking at the Imam. He is thinking, Tus? Which Imam will end up in Tus? فقال دعبل يا ابن رسول الله هذا القبر بطوس قبر من هو؟ Whose grave is the one in Tus? فقال الرضا عليه السلام قبري. This is my grave يا دعبل. ولا تنقضي الأيام والليالي حتى تصير طوس مختلف شيعتي وزواري. ألا فمن زارني في غربتي بطوس كان معي في درجتي يوم القيامة مغفورا له. Oh, Tus will become the place of visitation of my Shia and my followers. Surely whoever comes to visit me and he believes in me and he follows me, I will make sure that I take him on the day of judgment and he will be with me. Then Da'bal goes back and reminds Ahlul Bayt about what happened in Karbala, the days of Arba'een. We should remember. He says, قبور لدى النهر من أرض كربلاء. There are graves near the river in Karbala. معرسهم فيها بشط فراتي. Right next to the Furat. توفوا عطاشا بالفرات فليتني. They were killed thirsty in the Furat. I wish that I had died before them. توفيت قبلهم حين وفاتي. This they say that Da'bal kept reciting this poem, Imam Redha alayhi salam. Once he would stand up and cry, once he would sit down and cry. Sometimes the tragedy was so difficult for him that he would fall to the ground. He could not stand up anymore. Do you know when the Imam fell to the ground? They say when Da'bal said, بنات زياد في القصور مصونة. The daughters of Ziyad are in the houses, they are protected. وآل رسول الله في الفلوات. The daughters of Rasulullah are captives. They are taken from one city to another. Ya Allah, the days of Arba'een. Ya Zainab, when is your captivity going to come to an end? Zainab alayha salam, she says to Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam, she says to him, Amma, we want to go back to Medina. We want to go back to the city of our grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. When they came to two ways, he said, Amma Zainab, now we have an option. We can either go back to Medina or we can go past Karbala, we can go back and visit Hussein. As soon as he said the word Hussein, the children and the women said, take us to Hussein, take us to our father Hussein. Zainab alayha salam was sitting on the camel. She was looking towards the land of Karbala. She was remembering that last time I left this land, I left the body of Hussein lying on the ground, decapitated, broken bones, broken body parts. Now what is Zainab going to come back to Karbala? What's she going to find? She says, Ya nazilina bi Karbala, all people going to Karbala, هل عندكم خبر عن قتلانا? Do you have any news about our killed ones? ما حال جثة ميت ظلت بأرضكم ثلاث لا يزار مقامها. What is the state of my brother's body? It was left on the ground for 3 days and 3 nights under the sun. لا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. يا الله، اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك بأحب الخلق إليك بمولانا رسول الله وبأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، بمولانا أبو الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا، فرج عنا يا الله فرجا عاجلا قريبا كلمح للبصر أو هو أقرب من ذلك. For those who are sick, for those who have ailments, in the name of Maulana Abu al-Hasan al-Ridha salamullahi alayh. For those who have hajat, remember, put the name of your Imam forward and recite 5 times. أَمَّا يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. أَمَّا يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. أَمَّا يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك بأحب الخلق إليك محمد وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين والتسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين، فرج عنا يا الله فرجا عاجلا قريبا كلمح للبصر أو هو أقرب من ذلك. اللهم شافي وعافي جميع المرضى يا الله، بالخصوص المرضى المنظورين، شافهم بحق أبي الحسن علي بن موسى، الله بحق أبي الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا صلوات الله عليه. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج واجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه. اللهم ارزقنا زيارة الحسين، اللهم ارزقنا زيارة الرضا، اللهم ارزقنا شفاعة الحسين، اللهم احفظ زوار الحسين، اللهم ارجعهم إلى أهاليهم سالمين غانمين. اللهم ارزقنا زيارة أبي الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا وشفاعته في الآخرة. اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا، اللهم استر عيوبنا، اللهم اقضي حوائجنا للدنيا والآخرة. اللهم تقبل أعمالنا بأحسن القبول، وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات ومن مات على ولاية أمير المؤمنين، رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات.
عطر الأفواه بذكر محمد وآل محمد. برای محمد و آل محمد بلندتر صلوات. عجيب يا ابن هند كيف تجرى بأن تأتي للشام أسرى. عجيب يا ابن